Lisa, welcome back to this channel. If you're new here, my name is Belinda's channel. Thank you so much for all the love and support. Don't forget to please subscribe to this channel, turn on notifications so that anytime I upload a video, you will be the first person to be notified. To my returning subscribers, to those people that share my videos, leave commentaries, and also educate each and every one of us, you guys are the real MVP. Alright, lovelies, let's dive in today's video. So lovelies, I came across this video on my For You page on TikTok, and I thought to share with you guys where Asian people are finally out, to actually give their own sense concerning all of the things that's been going on. And they went ahead to like, okay, we're so sorry, we actually tried our best, but it's as if our best is not good enough. And I was able to put up some of those stitches. I'm just going to roll it. Please leave me your own thoughts in the comment section of what you think of this video, and please do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying and harassment. We're just here for educational and informative purposes. Alright, lovely.
Non-black POC, which I don't think I even have to say anymore, because it's becoming more and more apparent that more black people are like, we are not people of color, we are black. And that's fucking fair. I am a person of color, and to other people of color, I think we need to understand that we fucked up. We fucked up major. Like, across the board fucked up. Did not vote for Kamala Harris. And black people, specifically black women, are very upset, rightfully, and are like, we are not supporting anyone anymore. And obviously it's not everyone, right? But it's a lot of black women and black people who are like, I don't care. It was something that I spoke about a couple times, of POC not understanding the immense political power of black people, and specifically black women in this country, and not being able to respect that, not being able to understand that. And it all comes down to anti-blackness and misogynoir, right? Like, that's really what it is. That's the root of all of the problems. Because if we can understand that the root of all of our problems is white supremacy, what is integral to white supremacy? Anti-blackness. And even if we're not white, right, we still all engage in anti-blackness, one of the fucking strongholds of white supremacy. We're gonna learn real fucking fast how much we fucked up. I'm just really sad about it, to see it. I've spoken up many times personally, right, about the anti-blackness in the Asian American community, like throughout my life, right, not just on this app. And I gotta tell you, every time I spoke up about it, people distanced themselves from me. And then they would come up with these excuses of like, oh, you're Filipino, you're not even East Asian, or you're half white, so what the fuck are you even talking about? Why are you trying to lecture me on anti-blackness when you're half white? You're not even full Asian. And it's like, I was lecturing because it's a fucking problem in our community. It's a fucking problem in every community. And it has led to our destruction. This election brought up so many divisions, and the root of all of those divisions is white supremacy and anti-blackness, period. It's not up to black people to fix that problem. It is up to us, and it's not going to happen overnight, and you can't expect black people to trust us. This is going to be long, hard work, and I'm honestly scared, because I don't know if our communities are going to do it. I don't know if POC are going to do it. I don't think they are. It's always just been like a few stragglers who have been educated by black people, who understand the importance of combating anti-blackness. But the rest of the community, is like, fuck off, what are you doing? So I don't know, I don't have any solutions. I'm just talking about a problem. I'm just identifying it, and I'm just letting everyone know, people of color, we fucked up. There's no unity. We have no unity with each other. We have no unity with black people. We have no unity across the board. And this election fucking proved that. Why aren't the Democrats trying to fight Trump? What the fuck is wrong with Biden and Kamala? Why did they just roll over and let him take everything? They're not real leaders. They don't care about us. Hey, babe, I'm gonna need you to calm down, and I'm gonna try to ground you in some fucking reality, okay? Not to bring it up again, but the way to stop Trump was to vote in Kamala. That didn't fucking happen. They lost. Biden will not be the president in 2 months, so he is not able to get anything done. Yes, he technically has political power, but he's what we call a lame duck president. If you don't know what that is a term used for a president or politician who's on their way out, so nobody fucking works with them, because what the fuck is the point? Everyone is focused on working with Trump and his fucking people, because that is who will be in power in the next 2 months. Secondly, what do you want them to do? Honestly, what would you want them to do? Do you want them to jail Trump? I'm sorry to tell you, but we don't want a fascist dictatorship, right? So we can't just have people jail their political opponents. And yes, Trump has criminal court cases actively against him, but you have to let the courts run that. Also, if Biden were to just crazily jail Trump for no fucking reason other than winning an election and being horrible, the Republicans still won. So JD Vance would just be president, which is much, much worse. And I know 8 years of Trump's bullshit and masquerading as a politician, and then 8 years of rabid political commentators across the entire political spectrum talking crazy, wild, inflammatory shit makes you think that politics is just people doing crazy, wild, inflammatory shit. But it's not. I understand saying this sounds good and feels good, especially if you're a person who actively contributed to Kamala Harris's loss by swaying people away from the vote. I clock it. I see it. As much as I would love for the Democrats to also let loose, let's really think about this with like some foresight and political strategy. If Biden were to take a huge swing at Trump that would probably miss and not stand up, because everyone is just waiting for the Republican Congress to come in and we already have a stacked Supreme Court in favor of MAGA and Trump, that would just spell catastrophe for all Democrats going forward. Congress is majority Republican, but it is a small majority. The only real hope that Democrats can cling on to for the next 4 years is that some Republicans do hate Trump, and there is potential to sway those Republicans to help Democrats get legislation through. I know that's like hope that people have, but honestly, I don't feel like that's going to happen, especially if Trump goes full dictator mode. Like, there would be no political advantage for Republicans to side with Democrats until maybe we get closer to an election, if we even have elections. Because remember, Trump was like, we don't need elections. Also, this idea that the Democrats aren't doing anything because Biden and Harris are being diplomatic in a peaceful exchange of power completely ignores the fact that like the Democrats that still will be in power once Trump is in power are doing things. What do you think Gavin Newsom and all of these Democratic governors are doing by trying to protect their state? They're preparing for a Trump presidency. You can bet your ass that Democratic Congress representatives are still working and preparing for a Trump presidency. People are preparing for the inevitable, and Trump's presidency is the inevitable. The only way to have stopped it was through the vote. And if you didn't participate in that, you didn't participate in that. This is the reality ahead. Democrats are preparing for the reality ahead. We need to also. I know it feels good to rail against the Democrats, but it's like, they're not the ones in charge. We didn't give them the power to be the ones to rail against. So, yeah.
Okay, listen, as much as we want to blame or shift blame on to Latino voters, we also have to put a little bit of the blame or part of the blame onto Asian American voters, specifically Korean Americans and Vietnamese Americans who voted for Trump, because Asian Americans are a large margin of the population. And I had made a video about this a couple weeks ago talking about how I read an article that Kamala needed a key demographic to win in Georgia. And that was a Korean American population in Georgia, specifically in Gwinnett County, because a lot of them live in Duluth. And in that video that I talked about how Asian Americans typically vote Democrat, but that was steadily decreasing since 2020. And a lot of that has to do with translation, language barrier, and education. A lot of them just don't know how the economy works and really shifted a lot of the economic blame onto Biden, because a lot of Korean Americans, you know, have their own business. And I think that's one of the key reasons why she lost Georgia, why Georgia went red, is because the Korean American demographic in Georgia ended up voting for Trump. But also the Vietnamese American population have been Republicans for a very long time. And we also have to factor in the fact that Vietnamese Americans make up a large portion of the population in America as well. There are a lot of factors into why she lost, and I think we're also forgetting another key demographic, which is Asian Americans. And yes, while the Latino American vote was substantial in how this ended up turning red, we also have to factor in the Asian American population. I think a lot of people are not talking about that, and how a lot of them ended up voting Republican. And unfortunately, a lot of this is that a lot of Asian Americans center themselves around whiteness. Like, they want to become white. assimilate into white culture. They think that if they vote for Trump, that they're going to be a part of that, right? And it's not. He doesn't even like us. And I just need us and Latinos to get out of the mindset and decentralize ourselves from white culture, because we will never be them. We will never be them. We will never even be close to them.
I've been reading some of the comment sections of this blue bracelet discourse, and I just got to say that one of the main things that white women seem to struggle with when it comes to activism and allyship is not the activism and allyship itself, but actually learning to sit in the discomfort of possibly being perceived differently than you are. My point is that that is the work itself right there that so many white women will avoid at all costs, to the point where they end up prioritizing not being mistakenly perceived over the actual work of the activism. Because more often than not, the true colors of someone who claims to be an activist or an ally is demonstrated not in their intention, but in their reaction to criticism. And not just constructive criticism, but criticism of all types. Because when you are standing up for marginalized people, you have to be approaching it from a trauma-informed lens. And that means understanding when people will get in their feels. My point is that feeling attacked is not something to hopefully be avoided. It is actually something to be expected and even empathized with, because that is what makes a difference between wanting to actually do something for the work and wanting to do something to just be performatively nice and to virtue signal. And it's just so crazy, because there are some white women that will go to the ends of the earth and do anything they can other than the thing that people are asking them to do, which is learn how to sit in the discomfort. And this has a lot to do with the social, cultural conditioning of prioritizing proximity to power, the luxury of being able to prioritize keeping up appearances as opposed to just surviving, the social conditioning of Christian fundamentalism, where seeming good is so incredibly important. For someone who's really obsessed with sociological patterns of behavior, it kind of reminds me of when you try to explain to some men that you don't need them to do anything other than to sit with you in your pain, not actually solve it. And in the same way that white women asked the good men to help heal generational pain that comes from patriarchy and misogyny by not saying it's not all men and holding space for that healing, the same is being asked of white women when it comes to not feeling the need to have this triggered reaction to announce that I'm one of the good ones though. Back during the whole man versus bear conversation, one of my mutuals, white woman whisperer, who really articulates all of these points so much better than I possibly could, tried to explain this to y'all. And you proved her point by literally destroying her. You mass reported her and got her kicked out of the Creator Fund, and it was a really disturbing thing to watch in real time, to watch her point get proven and to watch that cognitive dissonance play out in that way. It was so easy to understand what is actually meant by all men not being literal when it came to the man versus bear conversation. But when it is applied to you, cognitive dissonance immediately kicks in. Suddenly, even the notion that you could possibly be one of the bad ones, which if it doesn't relate to you, then don't relate to it. But suddenly, even the mere possibility of that is abhorrent enough to you to turn you into the thing that you were denying that you were to begin with, which is someone dangerous. And to be clear, this is actually not even so much about the original naive idea of the blue bracelets to begin with, but more so about the reaction, especially when Black women interact with the space that you have entered as an ally and activist to give you feedback and tell you this is kind of giving virtue signaling Black Instagram square. And to be fair, I don't actually know how White Woman Whisperer feels about the blue bracelets thing. I'm just using that as an example for me to show patterns of behavior. But the point that we're missing and where the gaslighting begins is when we create this narrative that it's all about demonizing the good intentions that you had as opposed to your reactions to criticism. Kind of in the same way that my autistic meltdowns are often not about what happened itself per se, but about the fact that what happened yet again. I'm just saying that if you get to the point to where you are attacking the people that you claim to be wanting to protect because they are disagreeing with you, you have lost the plot. It also has a lot to do with just the inherent social conditioning of hyper individualism as opposed to generational communal healing and holding space for things. This problematic tendency to find new creative ways to yet again victimize yourself and make it about yourself in a moment, even when you claim to be advocating for others and letting your fragility prioritize the actual suffering of what's going on in the moment. But literally just being able to sit with that discomfort, building that emotional durability is a big part of what is needed. And it is the main thing that so many are avoiding. This is not me downplaying how complicated that social construction programming goes. It can be a very foreign way to suddenly experience and walk through the world. There's a fundamentally different way to psychologically perceive of one's self in relation to other. Even Christian fundamentalism and social conditioning, all that aside, even just normal everyday people, no matter who you are, really, really suck at learning how to handle being misunderstood. You know, I'm autistic, so I very much understand the actual flight or flight triggering feeling of being perceived mistakenly or misunderstood. So I'm not downplaying it. I'm actually, in fact, acknowledging how literally triggering it can be to your nervous system. But that itself is the work. It's the work that almost everyone is avoiding. We're really never conditioned and taught how to be embarrassed and how to be misunderstood, about letting it trigger us into reacting instead of acting. So the point is not that it's not all white women. The point is that that, in fact, itself is not the point. And if that triggers you into feeling some sort of type of way, you're making it about you. This is a fundamental rewiring when it comes to deprioritizing performative niceness. Being able to be actually kind and good while not having to be polite is a radical thing for some people. It's a shift. Some people cannot conceive of the notion of being kind if you're not nice. Just like some people can't conceive of the notion of someone being so nice, but actually being a terrible person. Again, it's not so much about the idea of the blue bracelets, but about the reaction and the discourse in some of these comment sections. It's been one day. It's been one day, and some of you are already coming for some of these Black women that are giving you their honest opinion on the whole situation, accusing them of being divisive. Like, it's just doing the right thing is not always going to feel good. It is not always going to be this sanitary, sterile, easy, simple situation to where you are never misunderstood and things are clean and never sloppy. That's part of it. It's part of it. It's part of it. Some of you are just so defensive and fragile that the minute you get critiqued at all, you think something has gone wrong. We say all men, not because it's literally all men, but because you pick up a pew-pew and you act as if it's loaded every time, even if it might not be. And the same goes for white women. And if you can't see that after it's been literally exemplified by people attacking creators trying to explain this to you, then there's a disconnect there.
Dear Asian community, I was very wrong about most of you. I have found proof, with the help of one of my mutuals, Unity, that Asian people are actually the second largest race to vote for Kamala Harris. And I can prove that shit. We all remember these statistics, right? 3 things caught my attention. 1, all of these except 2 were in the 40 and 50 percentile. The Asian percentile was up 56% and 38%. The math right here and the gap didn't make any sense. My third point is the other in the 43 percentile. Now granted, Asians are already the second largest race to vote for Kamala Harris, but it's actually higher than that. Then I also saw a video from Kimchi Cakes, how a lot of Koreans in Georgia and a majority of Vietnamese people voted for Donald Trump. For Koreans in Georgia, they believe that Kamala Harris was focusing too much on Donald Trump's racism, which is why a lot of them in Georgia voted for Donald Trump. Which in my opinion, that's not a good enough reason because Donald Trump did make a lot of racist remarks about Asian people. Secondly, majority of Vietnamese people voted for Donald Trump for cultural and historical reasons. Number 1, Vietnam War. Number 2, culture, because their culture and traditions leans more conservative and traditional. Number 3, a lot of Vietnamese people do not like Chinese people. And I saw this statistic from a Black woman named Never Stop with Sherry. She shows how each race increased or decreased in a matter of votes based on political party. Hispanic and Latino dropped a whopping 12%, Asians dropped 5%, and Black people dropped 1%. While Asian people increased by 3%. But why is that? Then I thought, hang on, why is the vote increase larger than Black people? It is because the Asian and Latinos had the highest increase when reaching the terms of eligibility to vote. I got curious on why that is. Half of Asian Americans that are eligible to vote have a bachelor degree or higher. That makes up 20% of this category. But where did the large amount of Asian voters come from? About 4 in 10 Asian eligible voters, 41% are ages of 50 and older. 56% of Asian people are immigrants in the last 70 years alone. When they came here, they were already conservative. Which explains why, if you compare and contrast the two, it explains why so many Asian people who are 50 years old or higher voted conservative. While the new generation of millennials and Gen Z voted for Kamala. But I'm not done yet. This is an Asian poll back in the 2020 election. You notice anything? Some don't know or didn't vote. The vast majority voted for Joe Biden. But once again, I'm pointing out this other in the orange. Then I found this. The highest amount of Asians are all in liberal states, following Hawaii, Nevada, Oregon, California, and Louisiana. The amount of Asian people who voted for Donald Trump is large, yes. However, it's definitely far from being the majority, which leads to my concrete evidence. Asian people tremendously voted for the Democratic Party, completely overtaking the Republican Party. Yeah, this is good, but why did the Republican Party votes increase? Remember when I said that half of Asian Americans are immigrants and they already have a conservative mind? They were in their 20s, 30s, and 40s when they came here. They did not have the eligibility to vote yet, with most of them being in the 50s or older. A lot of them did not get an education in the United States. Their kids did. Which explains why, when you look at the Asian college vote, it significantly goes to the Republican Party. But also because, just like last election, Vietnamese people mostly vote for Republican Party. Vietnamese people also make a large portion of the Asian community, which is one of the reasons why this statistic for Asian people is so low. They fit a lot of Asians in the other category. When you do that, it does not reflect in the Asian category. The rest of the Asians are actually right here. When I pointed out the other thing in the 2020 election, they did the same fucking thing. They separated some of the Asian ethnicities into the other category, making it seem like that only 50% of Asian people voted for Kamala. And Unity sent me this shit, with the exit poll of Asian votes not having enough data, making up 2%. They really try to pull a fast one over us, bro. They really tried. Now, did a lot of people in the Asian community did vote for Donald Trump? Yes, they still hold some of the blame. I can't lie about that. However, if they didn't separate other Asian ethnicities into the other category, the Asian percentile would have been much higher. This further proves that America does not find all Asian people to be Asian people. They never have, and they never will, and they never did for hundreds of years. Not only they're trying to separate Asians from black people and other people of color, but they're doing it to their own people. You can say that you're Asian, but they'll always call you something else. So to the Asian community out there, you can take a little bit of a breather. You didn't do as bad as you thought you did. But I just thought it was fair for me to make this video because you deserve it. I'm the fucking god.
Seriously, lovely.
I'm god.
It's so, it's actually so fulfilling that they are beginning to see where the real cause of the problem is. They are beginning to see where the problem actually is. Oftentimes, a lot of, especially POC people, often think that the problem is actually people, that looks like me, with the way at which the system has actually made everything to be, and to actually picture people that looks like me as the, difficult ones, the problem, the ones that, oh my God, are too loud, This election has actually showed a lot of people, or have opened the eyes of so many people, especially both the POCs, from the Asian to PAL to Hispanic and all of that. Now everyone actually is finding out that the problem of the society or the world and all of that is not actually from people that looks like me. They tried their best. They put on all of the effort. They are not people that when they speak A, they are doing something else. They are not people not to be trusted. Everyone is saying where the problem is, and the problem is actually from POCs. I'm saying POCs because sometimes I really do not even want to include people that look like me as POC because of the way at which things are. I like the fact that they are beginning to realize that within them is the problem, and within the anti-blackness is the problem. And as long as you do not accept the fact that no matter what you do, you are still going to be categorized as POC and not a pan-colored, then the better for every other person. Black people have been trying to say this for a very long time, trying to make some of these POC people know that no matter what you do, no matter the things you think, that all of the promises and all of that, these people will never see you as they are equals, or maybe want to treat you the same way they treat themselves and all of that. They still categorize you as POC, like you cannot be pan-colored. But it's as if everyone, not even as if everyone is just running around or running out not to be categorized with people that looks like me. But it's the same people that have been trying, to put on their best to actually see that things works and favors every other person. you know. Like, truth be told, Asian people, at least they tried more than Hispanic people in terms of this electoral thing that have been going on. Like, they really tried. And that is the fact that just the way this brother have actually, analyzed it, it's as if the Gen Zs home, decided to get themselves educated to actually know things, to actually see the way at which the system works, and not follow the input of other, millennials and all of that. They probably see the way at which things are, and the right side, and the people at which that is actually speaking the facts and the truth. That is why it's as if the Asian people, their percentage is a bit higher compared to other POC. This thing really happened. I think they're now realizing that, people that look like me actually have something upstairs. It's not the way at which the system has placed them to look like. Let's just take, for instance, I know with the thing that happened with affirmative action rather, also, contributed. Because if you notice with the votes, it tells that, the millennials or the Gen Zs actually are the ones that voted for, with the thing with affirmative action, and how people that look like me have been telling them, no, this thing does not, benefit us and all of that. And later on, they saw the truth. So I think that also made them to like, okay, for these guys to keep on saying that this might actually be the the way forward, let's just go with them for this this time around. And they made their own research. That is why it's as if Asian people also did their best, even if it wasn't enough, but at least they tried more than the Hispanic people. So I must really, they tried compared to other Hispanic people whom these were supposed to, like, they are the ones, Hispanic people are the ones that there is need, like. So if these people decide to really delete any form of anti-blackness in them, try to see things from a very straight angle without trying to control it, or try to bring anti-blackness and trying to, I think things might actually work out well. I think things might better. But when you want to bring in anti-blackness and you don't want to associate, and you just want to see or try to do things in order for this other side to accept you, this is why, like, with that, it's all going to be repetition and going back and forth. Seriously. Another thing is that people that look like me have really, really, really tried. They are tired. They have tried. They have used their voices. They have talked, like, they will give you 100,000 of reasons, but you guys just keep on disappointing them, and it has gotten to a point whereby they are now mute. They're now quiet, and it's as if you guys are just the ones that keep on fighting, trying to look for ways, like the other lady talking about pan-colored women and the way at which this is what black people have been trying to let you guys know, to let you guys understand. But it's just that just because of the anti-blackness in you, you don't want to really accept the fact that, oh, I can never belong to this demographic. You just ignore. They don't really care about who about the economy or whatever. Most of these pan-colored people cares about maintaining their status, maintaining their supremacy, maintaining, like, why it actually looks as if some of them are coming out to yield, to like feel sort of disappointed, or all of this, so many A and FO is the fact that there are so many things that is going to affect everybody, no matter the color you come out with. Example of the tariff, you know, tariff automatically makes things expensive and it's going to affect everyone. You know, you can't sell a particular goods and services lesser to someone that to a pan-colored person and sell it cheap higher to pan-colored person. So I think that is the reason why you see most of them, oh my god, feeling all disappointed, because this is not what they expect. They expect, you know, since it's, you know, TP, oh my god, supremacists at the rocket speed, oh my god, like the economy is just going to benefit them alone and every other minority is going to suffer for it. But no, one way or the other is going to affect every other person. But in terms of people that look like me, they're already used to stuff like this. So that's why it's as if it's not, they don't even care about any other thing. They have done their best. So you guys should just argue with yourselves. Try to, you know, do something for yourself. Try to look for solutions for yourself, because the way it is, they have already launched a Black Project 2025, on which a lot of people are signing. Anyway, lovers, wanna just leave me your own thought in the comment section of what you think of this video. And please do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying and harassment. We are just here for educational and informative purposes. So please, if you're leaving your comments, just begin, you know the way at which you leave commentaries. You know what it is, you know how we roll it here. Okay. And I also want to use this medium to say a very big shout out to my newest subscribers, to those people that share my videos, leave commentaries, in other words, educating each and every one of us. You guys are the real MVP, and I will see you lovelies when I upload the next one.
I've watched up to this extent. Thank you so much for all the love and support. Why not just leave me your own thoughts in the comment section of what you think of this video, and please do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying and harassment. We are just here for educational and informative purposes. So leave me your own thoughts, and I will see you lovelies when I upload the next one.